Hello, people of the world, and welcome back to Mallardcraft. I am the Dirty Ducky, and today we have a project to work on. Now that we're all kitted out, all set up, and all geared out, I want to start working on farms. And one of the first farms that I think we should work on, because every farm uses iron, is an iron farm. So your next question might be, why am I digging a hole? Simple. We're building an underground iron farm. Now, you might not think that'll work, but I've actually built this in a test world already, and it works fairly well, and it's super, super simple. So, after we go take a nap, I'm going to walk you through how to build it. So, the plan is to place it right here under the hillside, right next to our stick vendors over here. And I've already placed this chest and filled it up with everything that we're going to need, I think. Now, most of this is not an exact count, and you may not necessarily need all of this stuff, but for the design that I'm doing today and for everything that I'm going to build, I need all of this stuff. And you'll see why as we go along. But first things first, we're going to bury this thing pretty deep inside the mountain. And the idea is just so that it's far enough away from the outside world so that the golems do not spawn anywhere except for where we want them to. Ooh, coal. Now, another thing that you are going to need is obviously villagers, which we have the villager breeder that we built, and there's, I believe, 4 villagers sitting over there in it right now, but I've got it deactivated because we don't want them to just keep on breeding. But you're also going to need a zombie, and that's going to be the fun part of this. And you'll also, of course, need either a name tag or to find a zombie that'll hold an item. You know the biggest reason why I'm making an iron farm right now? Storage system. I need a storage system. Something awful. I cannot find anything in this mess of... I have a chest monster as a floor. Literally. I thought that I might have a name tag, but I can't seem to find one. So we're just going to have to go with the item. Now, the spawning radius for iron golems is only 8 blocks from the center of the, quote, village. But I wanted to make sure that I had at least 20 blocks clear all the way around my spawning chamber. So we are burying this thing deep enough that there is at least 20 blocks between the spawning platform and the surface. So at roughly about 50, well, not that is the 50th block right there. I marked it. We're going to open this chamber up, and this is going to be the villager area. The zombie shall be here-ish. Hang on. Okay, yes, the zombie will be going right here. Now, I have to do some thinking and contemplating and figure out exactly how we're going to get said zombie right there. I haven't thought this through all the way. Okay, never mind. I know exactly how this is going to work out. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and dig this down 2, 3, 4 blocks. And now this is where piston block. And now the zombie is going to sit on top of that. And as long as this piston remains unpowered, that'll be a 2-block drop. So it'll be easy enough to get him to go in there. Then we're going to dig this out. Oh, more coal. And this is going to be the clock that drives the piston up and down. It's kind of a primitive clock, but honestly, I think it works more reliably than anything else that I've ever tried to do. I know a lot of people like to put water underneath the zombie and just let him bob up and down, but I don't know why I never can make that work correctly. And at least with this, I can connect a lever to it up above here, which you'll see here in a second, and then the iron farm will have an on-off switch, although it's probably going to run pretty much all the time. And go figure, I did not bring enough repeaters with me, so I'm going to have to go back up there. And so the on-off switch will be back here. Okay, so now we're going to put each one of these on full delay, and we have this in light on mode. I think that's subtract mode. And this one has no delay, and that one has no delay. And then, if we flip this lever, you'll see we have a clock. And the piston will go up and down at regular intervals, reliably. So this is why I went with this. And now you can see the master plan. I just hope that this works the way I think it should. So with this timer delay, the zombie works up and down with just enough delay in between for the villagers to be able to sleep in the bed. That's pretty much the main requirement, is that they be able to sleep in a bed. They have to have slept in the bed the previous night, and I think it's 30 seconds between golems spawning. So this is about as efficient as a single module iron farm is going to get. And I'm on a single player world, so I don't need massive amounts of iron, honestly. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do while we wait for nightfall so we can lead a zombie in here is go ahead and start working on the spawning platform. And for that, we want to move up a layer. We are currently at Y65, and we want to be at above Y66. Okay, so this block is directly above this block. So here's what we're gonna do. This is going to be your spawning area, and just as long as you remember to make it 3 blocks tall, you can make this up to 8 blocks wide to maximize your spawning area, but honestly that's just going to decrease your efficiency. And I've made this just long enough that the zombie is going to be right there. So it's just long enough that they will pass 1 block past where the zombie is, because this is going to be the pit that they fall into. The next thing that we're going to do is finish prepping this spawning platform, and we're going to do that by throwing in these walls. And this is what's going to make these channels that I've dug here make sense. You do not want these walls to connect to this wall, these blocks, because if you do have that, then you get this. And the golems, as you can see, I'm trying to walk forward. They get hung up here, and then they don't fall down in your chamber. So you do not want that. And for mine, I just go ahead and wrap it on around like that. And we're not going to be able to fully do this yet, because we still have to be able to get out of here. But I also brought along these buttons, and you're going to want to throw those down anywhere that a golem could spawn that you do not want a golem to spawn. So actually, that golem couldn't technically spawn there because it's only 2 blocks tall, but right down here where I had to make this 3 blocks so I could jump up, a golem could spawn there. And it's close enough to the beds that it could potentially be a problem. And me personally, I throw buttons all over the place just to spawn proof the crap out of the whole thing. But you don't necessarily have to do that. Next thing we're going to do is throw these fence gates on here. No. Okay, well, go over here. There we go. And that's going to help contain the water while still allowing the golems to go on through. Finally, for your spawning platform, all you need is water. I'll close this off just so you can see. You get your water sources back here, and you'll see that the golems are going to get pushed off and right over the edge. Eventually. Sooner or later. Yep, like that. We're going to go ahead and leave this open for now, because we're going to have to come back and dig that pit out. But first, there's other stuff that I want to do. going to go ahead and put the first 2 of the 3 beds down. And this is a perfect example of exactly what you don't want to do. You want the bed facing that way. You want the pillows all facing inward. We're going to have a wall of trapdoors right here as well. We're going to leave that middle one out so that we can get the zombie in. And this chamber is pretty much finished now, except for the zombie. And this area here is going to get filled in. And that's why we haven't started digging the pit yet. I want to get the zombie in place first. So we're going to get the zombie in place. We're going to fill that in. We're going to get rid of this trapdoor. There's going to be a block right here. And yeah, we'll see. You'll see. Now it just needs to get dark. I feel like a sugarcane farm needs to be on our to-do list for the near future. I mean, this is doing for now, but... Okay, somehow or another, my microphone got disconnected, so the rest of this video is going to have to get voiceover. I swear, if it's not one thing, it's another. So once it finally got dark, we went out, wandered around, and tried to find a zombie. We managed to find a drown, but he turned out to be a disappointment. Unfortunately, he wouldn't pick up and hold items, so without name tags, he would have despawned. We managed to lure in a regular zombie, but yet again, he wouldn't pick up items. Thankfully, he brought 2 buddies with him, and one of them would pick up an item. So, after clearing out all the extra tag-alongs, we went ahead and brought that guy in and got him trapped. We dug out our little cubby hole, opened the trap door, and just waited for him to get close enough. Thankfully, our trap worked like a charm. He went right in. No problem. So then we sealed everything up, got rid of the trap door, and made this his permanent home. But then I realized that I had done something wrong. And I decided to test the theory, which I'm sure some of you can probably see the issue. So I went ahead and turned on the timer to get the piston going, and yeah, he doesn't pop up high enough. I set him too low on the floor. But that's okay, because we have a fix for it. I went and got an observer and used it to single tick the piston to push that block up. And then we just went ahead and broke the piston, placed a block under it, put the piston on top of that block. Since we're using a repeater to hard power the block below it, this will still power the piston and it'll raise the zombie up 1 block. And as you'll see, that worked perfectly. So now it's time to get the villagers in. After a little bit of working and figuring, I managed to set down a minecart track and use it to transport the villagers into the iron farm. And it worked out pretty well. I had to do a little bit of finagling, but I finally got the 3rd one in there. And I got the trapdoors in place. So then the next issue was trying to figure out how I was going to put the beds back down. After a bit more thinking and contemplating, I decided that the best thing to do would be to wait for nighttime and block them in there with me and then let them out of the minecart. Hoping that when I laid down the beds, they would just jump in the beds and go to sleep. Which turned out to work well. The 3rd one, of course, was the hardest, but eventually I got him to cooperate. Only later did I realize that I actually put this 3rd bed down in the wrong position, and we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, I finally got all 3 of them in there. I opened up the portal for the zombie and then used glass blocks so I could still see inside. And of course, then as I'm trying to clean up my mess, Creeper decided to come up behind me. Luckily, he didn't destroy the breeder, just left a big crater in the ground. No sooner had I finished cleaning that up, and a 2nd one got me from the other side. This one did actually do a little bit of damage to the breeder, and Luckily, the water was flowing the other direction, or else we probably would have lost a couple of villagers. So again, we cleaned up that mess and went back to what we were originally trying to do. Next task on the to-do list was to dig the pit for the golems to fall into. Now, the villagers have some superpowers and can sense any golem within 16 blocks in any direction through anything. Now, one of the stipulations for spawning a golem is that they haven't seen a golem within the last 30 seconds. And so in order to maximize the number of golems that we're spawning, we are going to, as quickly as possible, drop the golems out of their sight. That way that 30-second timer starts faster. With that in mind, I dug the pit 18 blocks deep just to make sure that we got down far enough and to allow room to put the collection system at the bottom. After that, we added the hoppers. This row is pointed toward the dropper at the end, and this row is pointed into that row so that everything flows into this dropper. The dropper is set up on an automatic system so that if there's items in it, it will just automatically spit them out, as you can see here. And we're going to put a water tube on here to swoop the items up to, we're going to put it right next to where the lever is to turn it on and off. With that done, the next thing that we need to do is add the signs. So we're going to put a 1 block gap between the signs and the hoppers. That way the golem's feet will not be in the lava. And we'll see how that works here in a minute. But shift click and you can place signs on signs and just do that all the way across. And then comes the most terrifying part. In one corner, make sure you place it on the block. You add the lava, and if you've done this correctly, you should be able to stand under it without taking any damage. Just don't jump. We're going to put the second bucket of lava in the exact opposite corner, and again, if you've done everything right and if your dimensions are correct, this should be all the lava that you need. It should completely cover the pit down here at the bottom with just those 2 buckets. With that done, we went ahead and closed off everything on this side. We entered the water tube as our way out and sealed it off. And placed the kelp up the tube to create a water elevator. I went ahead and did one final double check from above to make sure that the lava blade covered the entire bottom of the pit. And then we finished creating the water stream that was going to carry our items into the chests that we want. We did this the super simple way by just, at the end of the water stream, dig down 1 block so it automatically flows downhill, which actually kind of works out because we started from above where we wanted our collection system to be anyway. After that, we added a hopper and a double chest. We put 2 backwards facing stair blocks above that so that it looked seamless and we could still open the chest. And then it was time to run a test. This was when I realized that something had gone wrong. Even though the zombie pops up and the villagers start to panic, we didn't get any golem spawns, so I had to re-examine some issues. And after I put some thought into it, the first thing that I thought of was that maybe the villagers weren't able to sleep, and then I realized that I had the bed in the wrong spot. Finally, with that issue fixed, we were able to go ahead and run a test run. Let's see how it worked. So remember when I was talking about using the buttons anywhere that it was 3 blocks tall? Yeah, as you can see in that flyover, we had an issue, and I ended up going back and fixing that later on. But as you can see here, the farm works really well. This was 10 minutes maybe, and there's already a half a stack in here. And now we're back again with the microphone actually working. At least I'm pretty sure it is. So, you can see it's working great. We went ahead and narrowed the water tunnel so that the golems won't spawn in there. You see we got one right down there. The only problem with the golems spawning in here is just that they are within the 16 block radius, and it prevents the timer from starting, and therefore it slows down how often golems will spawn. So we fixed that so that we get the golems out of that spawning radius as quickly as we can, and that just improves the efficiency. Now, when I designed this farm in creative mode, I used carpet mod to check and see what exactly the rates were, and this farm, as it is right now, will easily do 300 plus iron per hour, which this is a single player world. So yeah, that's more than enough. That'll definitely keep me supplied with iron for the rest of this playthrough, especially if I just leave it running all the time. Now, eventually I want to run that waterway all the way down to here and somewhere out here, so we don't have to run all the way down there to get iron. There'll just be a chest right here somewhere, and we're probably going to put some bulk storage on it, and also separate the poppies from the iron, and probably just turn those into bone meal. But that's a project for another day. For now, we're gonna call this video done. Before we go though, I want to check on this. Ooh, I see you up there. You're gonna have no more creeper accidents today. And now it's been quite a while. I mean, I've been working on other stuff in between episodes and stuff, so this has been sitting here for a while, and yeah, it's working. It's working quite well. That'll be a nice little supply of emeralds. So yeah. But anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed building farms in general as it is. If you did enjoy it, do me a favor and smash that like button. And if you haven't done it already, please do consider subscribing. But until next time, I am the Dirty Ducky, and I'm out.